Hello and welcome. You're watching Your Trades on ET Now. I am Snehi Shah. With me is Ashesha Advari on the show, and this is a show where we're going to be wrapping up the entire trading day that we've seen today. Lots of action has happened today. Let's see whether Nifty has finally settled at a 0.3% cut. Very close to the 24,750 mark is where we have settled today. It's been a choppy day of trade. Nifty has closed below that 24,800 mark. Similar moves for the Sensex. India Wix is down another 3%. You have Nifty Bank that's ended in the green, so some show of support coming from Nifty Bank. A 0.1% uptick, but nonetheless in the green is where we have closed for Nifty Bank. If you take a look at the broader end of the market, let's pull up the mid cap and the small cap and see what the broader end of the market has been up to today. Flattish moves coming in, the slight negative bias on the mid cap and small cap index. Once again, the winner in today's trade, some recovery seen over there, outperformed the entire breadth of the market. A 0.3% uptick coming in on Nifty small cap. Sectorally, it was the day of the media stocks. PSU banks have done very well in today's trading session. You also have Realty, Energy, IT, Nifty Bank that's ended nominally in the green. On the flip side, biggest loser today is FMCG. Negative moves coming in from here, a 1.5% cut coming in across the board, followed by Nifty Auto, Pharma, Metal, and that's it. That's what the market breadth is looking like. If we talk about some other top news of the day, of course, we have to talk about ITC. This was the biggest loser from the Nifty pack today, a 3% cut coming in on ITC on the back of a 2.7% stake sale in ITC in today's trading session. You also have LIC that was in focus today. It was zooming on the back of a strong growth in Q4. You have upbeat brokerage notes coming in. Price hikes have come in for LIC. So looking very good on that stock as well. But Ashesha, what stood out to you today?
Well, absolutely. Apart from LIC and ITC, we had several other stocks. Hindustan Copper, for instance, from the metal pack was also buzzing after it reported its numbers, and profits grew by about 3x on a sequential basis. That stock was gaining in trade today. We had Info Edge, which reported weak set of numbers. Margins contracted on a year-on-year basis, so that one was also in focus today. But apart from that, we got to know an exclusive story from our sources where Tata Sons is board is likely to meet tomorrow. So some important update coming in from there, and Tata Group stocks will also be in focus on the back of that. But remember Bajaj Auto, that one will be reporting its numbers tomorrow, and we're expecting exports to grow on a year-on-year basis. So all eyes will be on a Bajaj Auto numbers, which will be reporting its numbers tomorrow. But to discuss how the day was and what's the outlook for tomorrow's trading session, we now have Forum Chedda now joining us from Chat Analytics. Forum, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now. First up, on the index level, both for Nifty and Bank Nifty, what will your view be for tomorrow?
Well, hi and early good evening to all, and thank you for having me on the show. To talk about the Nifty first, that in fact I would say the overall we did see more of a consolidation or a sideward movement. Eventually, we did see a closing marginally in red by around 0.3%. However, we remain in a very broad consolidation. So, considering from like a tomorrow's perspective, we may see support levels at around 24,600 levels. That's nearly 150 points from today's closing. However, the broad consolidation is 24,400 on the downside as a support, and the immediate resistance, or from an intermediate perspective also, it's closer to 25,100. So it's more of a range bound movement, so we may not expect too much of volatility that would happen. Meanwhile, into the Bank Nifty also, we did see more of I would say more of a range bound movement today. However, eventually we did see a marginal positive closing by 64 points at 0.12%. As far as the levels are concerned, the trading for tomorrow, the resistance is placed closer to a level of around 55,800 levels, and the immediate support, what we can expect, is closer to 55,000, which is like a psychological mark as well. But again, from a broader perspective, Bank Nifty also remains in a very wide consolidation, and once it takes off these levels of 56,000, we may again look at a record highs for the Bank Nifty.
Okay, Forum, hi, thanks for joining us on the show. So that's your take on the index, but also give us a sense of which stocks you're liking right now, what's looking good.
I will pick up first stock is on Deepak Fertilizers actually. So Deepak Fertilizers has outperformed very well today. It closed up by nearly 6.5%. And if we see that it has also taken off its previous high, which was marked in December of 1443. So overall, the stock has given a good, very strong closing. Parallelly, we have seen a very good increase in volume. So again, it's bullish and supporting the trend, what is there. Thirdly, when we talk about the indicators, we can see that there has been a positive RSI divergence along with the parabolic SAR in a pie. So I would consider a buy into Deepak Fertilizers at 1420 with a stop loss at 1370 and target of 1520. And the second stock is Hindustan Copper. So Hindustan Copper also relatively has seen a weaker closing for today. So it gives an opportunity to buy for tomorrow at around 240 levels with a stop loss of around 235 and a target of closer to 263.
Hindustan Copper and Deepak Fertilizer, two buy calls coming in from Forum. Forum, thanks so much for taking your time out and joining us today here on ET Now. But Shrishti is now joining us. Shrishti, tell us which stocks are you spotting on the charts today?
Well, yes, two counters, one on the breakout side and the other one on the breakdown side that we are spotting. And first up, let's have a look at the breakdown stock, and that is Pharma Major Lupin on the charts, because this particular stock was actually holding the support level of 2,000 rupees. And just post the earnings, you will see that the stock has been under tremendous pressure. But for today, the reason that we have taken this stock on the breakdown side is the breach of its key support level of 2,000 rupees. The stock is now seen to be trading below its key moving averages, and in the derivative side, well, there was a mild short build-up that we have seen happening, and hence we thought of highlighting this counter as the breakdown one. But on the flip side, let's have a look at the breakout stock, and this is IGL. Though this particular counter has been consolidating in quite a tight range for the past 4 or 5 days, if you will see the stock on the daily chart. But for today, there has been a breach of its key resistance level, which was around at 210 odd rupees. The stock is now trading above its key moving averages, and in the last week or so has been continuously taking support out of its 20-day moving average as well. So that's why we wish to highlight this counter on the breakout side. So these are the two stocks, one on the breakdown side and the other one on the breakout side. Back to you.
Okay, Shrishti, thanks for highlighting both of those stocks for us. But let's move on, talk about the word from the wise today. That's Dinshaw Irani, CEO at Helios Mutual Fund. He discussed the sector that he's bullish and bearish on, and he believes that the power and financial sectors are likely to do well in the current scenario. Let's go across and listen in to why he feels so.
Summer season coming off so appreciably, I mean, as in a very short summer season, I think there's a surplus now happening. So maybe you'll see a breather in that space. However, in the financial services, I think we are on track. We remain negative on IT. I think that relief rally which came about looks like done and dusted. FMCG again, don't see much of upside. Maybe there may be some demand uptick because of the rural inflation going down. But apart from that, I think the down trade is going on happening on the urban demand front. We continue to be fairly comfortable in the hospitality space. Again, as I said, that the quality rooms are not available, and that's what is putting up the ARRs of the particular sector. Hospitals, again, derivative of hospitality, if you will, but the same thesis applies out there.
Okay, that's the word coming in from Dinshaw Irani. But let's highlight the big Nifty loser today, the top losing Nifty stock, that's ITC. The stock was in focus ever since last evening when we heard that there was some speculation about BAT, which is British American Tobacco, that's going to be orchestrating a stake sale, and that's exactly what's happened in the morning today. And that's British American Tobacco has completed the block trade of ITC shares, wherein 2.7% equity has changed hands, and 33.28 million shares, which is 33.2 crore shares, have changed hands in 8 block deals today. From agencies, we understand that BAT has said that net proceeds from the block trade amount to 121 billion, which is around 12,100 crore rupees. And they've also said that the net proceeds will be used to extend the share buyback of for 200 million British pounds. Remember, they are undergoing a share buyback program in UK where they are listed. Now, when it comes to BAT's stake history, BAT held a 25.43% stake in ITC valued at 1.4 lakh crore rupees before today's block deal. Now, after the block deal, we are assuming that BAT now holds roughly 22.7% stake in ITC, and it still continues to be its largest shareholder. In the past, BAT sold 3.5% stake, that's roughly 43.7 crore shares of ITC on 13th March last year, which is 2024, for 17,491 crore rupees. And after that, another significant block deal from BAT is what we've seen today. Now, the question naturally to spring up in the mind of viewers and investors is, if this has happened in ITC, what about BAT's stake in ITC Hotels? Because remember, last quarter, ITC Hotels has demerged from the overall ITC brand. So now, remember, BAT had said that they are going to be divesting $623 million or 5,400 crore rupee worth of shares in ITC Hotels by 2026 when the demerger had happened. BAT had made it very clear that they do not want to be a big shareholder when it comes to ITC Hotels. And remember, at present, BAT holds 15.3% stake in ITC Hotels, so it's only natural that we can expect some stake sale news coming in from BAT for ITC Hotels as well in the run-up to 2026. But that's what the sum-up is on ITC today on the back of this BAT stake sale coming in.
But apart from ITC, several other stocks were in focus, and Rabinder is now joining us with a list of exactly that. Rabinder, tell us which other stocks were buzzing in trade today.
Well, it's on back of strong Q4 earning. ITI is in focus, where companies' revenue saw an uptick of 74% year-on-year basis, and companies' net loss trimmed to 4.38 crore as compared to net loss of 238 crore year-on-year basis. So, on back of strong Q4 earning, ITI is in focus. Moving to next, NMDC is also in focus on back of Q4 earning, where companies' revenue saw an uptick of 6.5% on a sequential basis. And if we talk about PAT, then PAT saw a decline of approximately 22% quarter-on-quarter basis, and company's EBITDA margin also saw a decline of approx 700 basis points from 36.1% to 29.3%. Moving to next, Bharat Dynamic is also in focus, where company's net profit saw a decline of 5.5% on a year-on-year basis, and company's EBITDA margin saw a sharp decline from 37% to 16.8% year-on-year basis. Apart from this, on back of brokerage note, Aurobindo Pharma is also in focus, where Kotak Security has maintained sell rating and cut target price to rupees 1100 from 1145, and Kotak has reduced EPS estimate by 1 to 7% for FY26 to 27 due to a lower US and API sales. And ICICI Security has also reduced rating from buy to add and cut target price to rupees from 1445 to 1330. And lastly, telecom stock is also in focus, like Bharti Hexacom, Indus Tower and Vodafone Idea. Vodafone Idea is focused on the back of that board meet is scheduled to held on May 30 to consider fundraise.
Okay, so Rabinder, thanks so much for joining us with all of those stocks that were in focus today. But let's also revisit some management interactions we had earlier in the day. We caught up with Hitesh Oberoi, MD and CEO at Info Edge India, to know about the company's 1,000 crore investment plan in the coming years. Let's go across and listen into what he had to tell us.
Latest news that you are looking at 1,000 crore fund. I'm assuming that this 1,000 crore would be another fund where you would be looking at making fresh investments. How did you arrive at this number of 1,000 crore, and what could be the shelf life of this fund, and minus this 1,000 crore, what happens to cash in the balance sheet?
So, we are sitting on around, I think last I checked, we had about 4,800 crores of cash. Between between Info Edge and our subsidiary companies. We, of course, need to deploy this cash productively. There is some cash we need for operations and for rainy days. And if there is an acquisition opportunity which comes our way. Outside that, of course, we give dividends to shareholders. We just announced a dividend. We upped the dividend this year. But after that also, there's a lot of cash which is left and which can be deployed. We have been very successful at, spotting companies early. So we continue to make early stage investments. And normally the fund life is long, is like 10+2 or 12+2 in most of the funds we sort of do, because it takes a long time for a company to make it in India. It's not as if you get a company making it really big in 3 or 4 years. Often it takes 10 or 12 years for companies to make it. Normally when we announce a fund, it takes 3 or 4 years to deploy the capital in these, to find these companies and to do the first round, and then there are follow-on rounds going forward. So in the more successful companies, we do follow-ons and so on and so forth. So that's how this all works. So we've approved 1,000 crores of fresh investments, and these will be deployed, I suspect, over the next 3 or 4 or 5 years.
That's the word coming in from the management of Info Edge. But another stock that was in focus today was LIC. It ended the day with an uptick of a solid 8% in today's trading session. And the company reported a stellar performance in the fourth quarter with a record policies sold. Siddhartha Mohanty, chairperson of LIC, spoke exclusively to ET Now. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
The non-par share has shown 50% growth, more than 50%. And from 18 to 27%. In coming days, my sense is in the current year, we are expecting some further growth in non-par share to AP. Further growth will be there. It will go beyond 30% also. That is our expectation. Any objective will be to demonstrate a further growth in VNB margin, but it will be very difficult to give any specific number or a specific year. But current year, definitely our objective will be at least 2-3% plus over whatever we have done in the current year, last year, that we are expecting. That work is going on, and very soon I think that will be finalized. Within 2 to 3 months time, our board will take a call. How much stake will buy, which company will buy, what should be the valuation, all those things finalization will be done within 2 to 3 months by the board. Dive project last 1.5 year, 2 year we are working on that, and now almost finalized. All milestones will be achieved. I think Q2 onwards milestones will be achieved.
Okay, so positive outlook coming in. That stock was also up 8% amid a market that was largely sideways. But from that, let's move on to the primary markets. And after a dull March and April, the IPO rush seems to be back in the primary markets with almost 9,000 crore raised in the 2 months in the first quarter so far. Sharad is joining us to take us through the highlights of all the activity and what's lined up when it comes to the primary markets.
Well, the primary market is seeing finally action after 2 months of a lull period, especially the volatility seen in the market the months of March and April. Now, the month itself, if you look at it, the quarter numbers, we are seeing 6 main board IPOs. The numbers are roughly 9,000 crores of fund is being raised. But of course, the numbers are still muted as compared to the numbers seen in the third quarter of FY25 and even on the fourth quarter of FY25. But primary markets is coming back into the action. Now, is the IPO rush back? More than issue size of 10,000 crore is also expected to come in the second half of calendar year 25, and large names are there on the screen: Lenskart, Grow, NSDL, PhonePe, Tata Capital, and even LG Electronics from the MNC space, which should be in focus. Now, of course, the liquidity has returned in the market, but the stocks are still lagging in the IPOs in 2025. 59% of total issues, both if you include the main board and the SME, are still trading below the issue price, and only 41% are trading above these numbers. Now, interestingly, let's look at the startups also, which are actually eyeing for IPOs, and there are important reasons for it: strong liquidity coming in, a booming digital economy, and a global investor interest as well. And of course, the valuations are also premium when it comes to the Indian markets. Now, the startups hitting the street in 2025, they include PhonePe, Zepto, Boat, Cardeco, and including Bluestone, Avance, Grow, and even Physics Wala. So this is the entire list of the startups actually hitting the street as well. But now let's see how the wealth creation has actually panned out in the IPO street this year. Over the last 3 years, there has been almost 59 IPOs in 2023. Positive listings were almost 51. 2024, this number was on the higher side, 72 positive listings out of the 90 IPOs. And it's been a kind of a downward trend when it comes to the overall 3 years comparison. For 2025, only you could say 66% of IPOs have given a positive listing. So of course, markets are cautious, but primary markets is definitely back when it comes to the overall numbers and the liquidity.
Sharad, thanks so much for joining us with all those details. But that's all the time we have on this edition of the show. But don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to ET Now. More news and updates will come on the other side. Stay tuned.